Hey everybody, it's Doug Green and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News, and I'm very pleased to have with me Dave Michels of TalkingPointz. Dave, thank you for joining me.
Hi everybody, it's Dave Michels. I'm with Doug Green from the publisher of Technology Reseller News.
And together we're going to be talking about the upcoming Cloud Communication Summit, the CCA European Summit 2025, June 16th, 17. It's going to be just outside of Brussels, Belgium, right near the airport, actually, I think. And it's going to be having topics of all sorts of interest. We're going to be talking about real current events, the impact of geopolitical events that are happening with cloud communications. We're also going to be talking about, growing businesses and opportunities and so on. But Dave, before we dive into that, what is TalkingPointz?
What is talking? Oh my God, that's what I need to be focusing on, because I don't know what TalkingPointz is. TalkingPointz is a analyst firm of mostly myself. I've got Dave Danto helping me out with the video AV communications or audiovisual, but I'm focused on unified communications and contact centers of service, CPaaS, video messaging, and mobility. And I write about and attend just about every event I can think of. I'm not wearing a name tag today, so I'm a little confused because my normal state is indeed wearing a name tag at an event.
And right, that's how we exist, right? We exist only at these events, and no one would even know who we are but for our little lanyard with the thing with the shiny and the barcode and so on. But in lieu of that, I run into you at all these events. We've had this little break here between this sort of string of pearls of events. All
speak for yourself. I was in Barcelona yesterday. I was in London last week.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's yeah. But those weren't events. Those were just meetings and whatnot. Yeah, we live out of suitcases regardless.
So that's cool because before we dive into what you're going to be presenting at this event, Dave, what have you seen? You've seen Baker's dozen of events. You've been speaking. You've been on panels. You've been interviewing people, podcasting. What did you learn this spring?
Well, that is an unexpected question. I'm going to have that's like one of those deep philosophical questions, and I feel so ill prepared for it. There is activity and development and motion and excitement in every aspect of the enterprise communications. Obviously, artificial intelligence is getting most of the attention, and the air to the room is going to that. But it's amazing how much artificial intelligence has permeated throughout enterprise communications. And just looking at the contact center, which of course is getting just extraordinary attention, every aspect of the contact center, onboarding, training, analytics, coaching, self-service, every aspect that you could think of, routing of the contact center is being adjusted with AI. And what's really interesting there is that so far it's been mostly improving existing processes. So we're seeing, incremental improvements instead of agent wrapping up the call, the AI is wrapping up the call. So we're seeing, saving seconds here, saving seconds there. But what's starting to happen is we're reimagining everything. We're not just changing what was there. We're reimagining it and redoing it. And that's where it's going to get, hold on to your hat. It's going to get really interesting these next few years. So AI is obviously the big one. But what we're going to talk about, and I'll do the segue since you set it up so nicely, is we're going to talk about mobility, because mobility is also one of these topics that, what is the famous quote? We underestimate what's going to happen in a year and underestimate what's going to happen in 10, or vice versa. But this thing has been creeping up on us, and we kind of think our guard is down. We kind of think like it's over. The new models of the cell phones are more or less faster, better, cheaper than the last model. No big deal anymore. Not nearly as exciting as it was when 10 years ago or so. But mobility is really going to have a big impact in communications. And I know that because I'm from the future. Well, okay, maybe not the future, but I've been spending more time in Europe. And Europe is a little bit ahead of North America when it comes to mobility. And so I feel like but I'm coming from the future a little bit because this thing is a little bit more important. This thing, I don't know where the camera is. This thing is a little more important over in Europe than it is in the US. And I think that's going to change.
Now let's break that down, because I have a feeling you're about to tell me that, here in America, yeah, okay, it's a communication device. We use it really texting and reading news and so on and so forth. But is it right that as you travel EU, UK, and so on, you're seeing it also much more as a purchasing platform, as a commerce platform?
Well, it's certainly that. I mean, in the US, I managed to avoid pretty much all of Meta. I don't use any of Meta services. I just never had a need for it, didn't want it, didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Spending time in Europe, I had no option. I had to install WhatsApp. There's no way to book a restaurant. There's no way to call a store without WhatsApp. I mean, it is, but it's still just mostly messaging. It's not even commerce on WhatsApp yet. But I think we're going to see that change. To your point, I think the mobile communications keep getting better. I was at Mobile World Congress earlier this year. The mobile technologies keep getting better. The devices keep getting better. And enterprise communications keeps on getting better. And there's this convergence of things happening. Now, I have to tell you, Doug, because I know you think that I'm infallible and I'm perfect in almost every way. And I know. I don't want to embarrass you, but I know that's what you think of me. And so I'll just put that out.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
But I did make a big mistake, and I hope it doesn't diminish your view of me. But I learned about what I call UCaaS Mobility 3. And by the way, if you ever hear anyone talk about UCaaS Mobility 3, it's probably me, because no one else will use that term. I'm trying to get people to use this term, but nobody will use this term. And the reason I call it UCaaS Mobility 3 is because there's been three in my mind. There's three distinct generations of UCaaS mobility. The first generation was what I'm going to just describe it simply as creative call forwarding. And on the PBX we used to call it follow me, find me. What was it? Grand Central came up with a very clever forwarding service that allows you to pair your cell phone to your business phone. Very creative call forwarding, worked great. The second generation was much better, and it's what most people know today. It's installing an app, your UCaaS app on your device, and it works pretty well. It was the star of the pandemic. It worked great. Everybody was working from home, and either on their mobile device or on a laptop or a computer, and with a soft phone, and we did our meetings, and everything worked great. The third generation is what I call is UCaaS tied to a SIM. So you get a separate SIM. A lot of phones now support two SIMs, and one number is your personal cell phone number, and the other number is your work UCaaS number. And I learned about this from Cisco. Cisco launched they call it WebEx Go, and they gave me a trial account, and I set it up, and I was enamored by it. I thought this is amazing. This is just, it solves all these problems. So the mistake that I made was I said, this is it, man. This is going to take off. Everyone in 2023 is going to have this feature, and I didn't get it right. I got it wrong, and it didn't take off, and it's out there, and it kind of took off. I mean, Microsoft now has it. Microsoft calls it Teams Phone Mobile. Other companies have it. I won't list them all, but other companies have it. So it kind of took off. But for the most part, when I talk about UCaaS Mobility 3, people say, "Oh, I have all that." And I say, "Oh, do you?" And then they say, then we end up finding out that they have an app installed on their phone, UCaaS Mobility 2, and they don't have. So I was wrong. I thought it was going to take off. I thought it was going to be the cat's pajamas, but I was wrong. So I've been thinking a lot about it and hanging out here in Europe and watching people using their mobile devices and using WhatsApp and all this stuff. And I decided, maybe I didn't get it wrong. I decided maybe my timing was off. And so what I'll be talking about at Cloud Communications Alliance is why I was wrong on the timing, why it didn't take off, and why it will take off. And my message, because you did mention it, the Cloud Communications Line, which is a fantastic organization, is mostly service providers. And I've talked before about the pendulum swinging back towards service providers, and I think that there's an opportunity here for service providers to leapfrog the UCaaS industry with mobility, because I think the UCaaS industry is kind of slow. So that's every question you're going to ask me, I bet. Do we have anything left to cover?
But you know what? I'm really intrigued with the you put a little hook there at the end. So it's one thing to sort of align yourself with the best place to be, which I think for a while we can all agree mobility has been where we should be going. But you're now saying we actually can get ahead. We can leapfrog, right?
Tell me more about
why is that?
And so there's a number of things that are lining up, and so this is a two-pronged conversation, and there's a number of things lining up. When I just mentioned that I think that the pendulum swinging back to the service providers. So for the last, I don't know, decade or so, because service providers brought us UCaaS, right? They invented it. It was the original magic quadrant for UCaaS was pretty much all BroadSoft partners, right? And then as the technology matured, and then Gartner changed the rules and said you have to own and control your software stack. So they eliminated all the BroadSoft partners, and companies like Cisco and Zoom and Microsoft ended up taking over that quadrant. But so the pendulum was swinging away from the service providers toward these over the top providers. So there's a number of factors that are causing that, in my opinion, to start to swing back towards service providers. So you take those factors and that momentum, and you take where the technology is going with mobility and the frustrations with over the top, and we have all experienced over the top not working the way it's supposed to. And like I said, it worked great when we were at home and during the pandemic and working from home, and it just worked like magic. But it doesn't work so well when you're on, Interstate 5, driving 70 miles an hour, trying to get your calls done. And so there's a lot of issues, and there's also all these issues around who owns the phone and who owns the data, and does the corporation have right to put software on the data? Does the corporation have the right to wipe your phone? How many people are still carrying 2 cell phones? We're like living in this broken world of where we could be in a tech utopia, and I think that is going to change. And I think so. Yes, I think that the service providers are in the best place to be the ones to drive this change. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and it's going to probably be the most interesting presentation at the event. I mean, maybe.
That's interesting because the overall summit that is coming up is covering tariff controversy and other challenges, headwinds, and so on. But I noticed that in the organization of the event, you're sort of the opportunity message. So your message is one of hope and actually action.
Yeah, that's what people say about me. Dave is optimistic and hopeful. That's the way people always describe me. Okay, maybe not. But it's interesting that you. Yes, I really do feel that. Like I said, I still have that. When I first learned about this, it's so. How many times I've been in UCaaS, but since before it was UCaaS, and how many times have you heard? You meet somebody and they ask you what you do for a living, and you say, "Oh, I'm in the enterprise communications. I work with phone systems, whatever." And they say, "I don't know why companies still buy phone systems. All I need is this." How many times have you heard that conversation?
Right.
We've had this conversation going on for a decade. All I need is this. This is all people want, and yet the industry still exists quite well on its own. But they exist antagonistic of each other. They have the cellular and the UCaaS industry have a mutual acceptance of each other. You do your thing, we'll do our thing, but we only need one. And so if you put the SIM on here, it just solves a lot of problems. And a number of UCaaS providers are doing it. And in fact, one of the CCA members, I think phone.com, they just launched it, right? They just launched a SIM-based UCaaS mobility. And so it is happening, but it's not happening very quickly. And I think that it's going to be one of those things where, like I said, I predicted it years ago. It's going to be one of those things where it's going to be slow and painful, and then boom, it's going to happen. It's time now. And Microsoft pretty much steadily has been expanding the number of partners that they work with, that they certify for Teams Phone Mobile, consistently every year since they've launched that program. They launched it with they launched it actually in the Nordics, of course, but just last March at Enterprise Connect, you were there.
Yes.
Microsoft. Oh, by the way, of all these announcements we just made, we also announcing, I think it was like 3 or 4 more new partners doing Microsoft Teams Phone Mobile, which is SIM-based UCaaS. So it's like plodding along. It's just everything's just plodding along. Everybody's just kind of getting there, and it's going to be boom. And like I said, when I talk about UCaaS Mobility 3, it takes a while for people to get it because I have to explain it and all this stuff. But I think it's going to be one of those things like, oh yeah, no, my company is doing that. Oh, my brother's company is doing that. But we're all going to be doing it, and it just makes a lot of sense.
Well, Dave, I really want to thank you today. This has been amazing. UCaaS Mobility 3, everybody. Learn about it, think about it, memorize it. This is, I think, going to be big. Dave Michels is going to be there live in Brussels describing this. It's going to be really interesting.
I'll be the one eating fries and chocolates and waffles. I'll be the one. I'll be the one person in Belgium doing that.
So that's right. There's going to be quite a gourmet event as well.
People don't realize it, but Belgium invented French fries.
I didn't know that.
Yep, they're very proud of it.
All right. Well, and here I thought possibly it would have been invented in California or something like that. Some famous fast food
Liberty
company.
fries.
All right. So they must be the authentic French fries in Belgium, right?
That's right. That's right.
And authentic chocolates and authentic opportunities for the service providers who apparently are in the right place at the right time for mobility, which is really hot. It's a message of hope and growth. Cloudcommunications.com. If you go to the website, it's easy to find all the information you need about the agenda, the summit, and you can actually register right there. And Dave, you do TalkingPointz.com in your special report.
The insider report. Yeah. TalkingPointz offers a subscription service called the Insider. It's we do 12 or monthly newsletters that are about 8-10 pages usually, sometimes a little longer. Easy to skim, don't have to read the whole thing. Of everything you need to know that happened in the last month, with opinion and why it was important, etc. And then we also include a bunch of deep dive reports. I just published one on Enterprise Connect. Mr. Danto just published one on video interoperability, so it's a paid subscription, but it's the best value in the industry. Well, other than technology research subscription.
You're not just getting with that report. You're not just getting, you're getting, you're being up to date on the news, but you're getting the kind of insight we learned about here. This sort of like, okay, look at this. This could be something big.
Yeah, that's what you're getting.
All right, and that and much more. So, all right, Dave, thank you very much indeed. I'm looking forward to actually seeing this event and learning more about UCaaS Mobility 3. And how we can leap ahead of the crowd with mobility. But for now, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you.